On October 24, 1961, a quiet suburban town in Lincoln, Massachusetts, became the center of one of the most puzzling disappearances in American history. That morning, 31-year-old Joan Risch followed her normal routine. With her husband Martin away on a business trip to New York, she took her daughter Lillian to the dentist in nearby Bedford, stopped at a store to buy some children's clothes, and returned home. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. A delivery man came by to pick up Martin's suits for cleaning, and Joan chatted briefly with him. Later, she prepared lunch, put her 2-year-old son David down for a nap, and sent her 4-year-old daughter to play at a neighbor's house. Around 2:15 that afternoon, a neighbor noticed Joan walking quickly up the driveway. The woman thought Joan was chasing one of her children and saw her holding something red in her hands, but she didn't get a closer look. That moment was the last confirmed sighting of Joan alive. By late afternoon, her daughter came back from playing next door and walked into a frightening scene. The kitchen was smeared with blood. The telephone had been ripped from the wall and dropped into the trash. A table was overturned. Her little brother was still upstairs sleeping peacefully in his crib, but Joan was gone. When investigators arrived, they were immediately struck by the evidence. Blood was smeared on the kitchen floor, walls, and telephone. It trailed out of the kitchen, through the house, and into the driveway, stopping suddenly near Joan's car. The car itself showed signs of blood on the trunk. Inside the home, officers found children's clothing with blood pressed into the fabric, as though someone had leaned or knelt on it. A roll of paper towels had been partly used, with bloody prints. What puzzled investigators most was the amount of blood. Medical experts estimated that the total was about half a pint, far too little to cause death. It suggested Joan had been injured, but was still alive when she left the house. Witness accounts deepened the mystery. Several people reported seeing a woman matching Joan's description near Route 128, where highway construction was underway. Around 3:15, one motorist saw a woman walking unsteadily along the road, clutching her stomach. Another reported seeing a woman with blood running down her legs. A construction worker recalled seeing someone who seemed confused, but when he returned minutes later, she was gone. Despite searches, no trace of her was ever recovered. Back at the house, investigators noted more odd details. Joan's coat was missing, though she had left behind her purse, keys, and identification. A second coat and her handbag sat in plain view. The phone book lay open to the emergency numbers page. The mailbox still had letters inside. Some officers thought the scene looked staged. Hundreds of volunteers, police officers, and dogs searched the area, combing through fields, woods, and the nearby construction site. Helicopters scanned the landscape. Nothing was found. Not her clothing, not her body, not a single clue that explained where she went. Months later, a reporter uncovered a detail that gave the case an eerie twist. That summer, Joan had checked out more than 25 books from her local library. Many were about disappearances, murders, and women who vanished under unusual circumstances. Titles included Into Thin Air and The 27th Wife. One book described a woman who left behind a blood-stained scene to fake her own disappearance. This revelation sparked speculation that Joan had deliberately staged her own vanishing. But people who knew her disagreed. Friends described her as a devoted mother, a woman with no reason to abandon her family. Martin, her husband, said their marriage was stable and happy. She was not known to suffer from depression or mental illness. Some wondered if the library books reflected curiosity rather than intent. As the years passed, the case remained cold. Joan was never declared legally dead, and Martin raised their children alone. In 1975, the family sold the house when the land was acquired for a national park. Martin died in 2009, never knowing what happened to his wife. Detective Leo Algeo, one of the original investigators, also passed away that year, still convinced the truth was out there. He once said, "People don't just vanish without a trace." To this day, Joan Risch's disappearance remains one of New England's most baffling mysteries. Was she abducted? Did she suffer an accident and collapse somewhere, hidden from searchers? Or, as some believe, did she carefully plan her own vanishing, inspired by the books she read? The trail of blood, the abrupt end of the tracks, and the decades of silence all suggest something extraordinary happened that afternoon. But without answers, it remains one of the most haunting unsolved disappearances in American history.